Hi everyone, Helen Blunden here, or at Activate Learn on Twitter. Well, I've been busy reading. No, actually I've been busy reading and listening because this time round it is an audio book. Now, the audio book, I must admit, sometimes audio books just kind of miss the mark and you wish that you could just pick up the book and read it in its physical form. And unfortunately, this is a book that I think I should have read in its physical format. What is the book, you ask? Okay, it is Eudora Welty's The Optimist Daughter. Have you heard of Eudora Welty? Well, maybe if you're an American, you may have. For me, I didn't know who she was. I'd never heard of her, but she was a very well-known American author, a prolific writer, a short story writer, heaps of prizes, up there with the likes of Tennessee Williams. She even has her house, which is a National Heritage Monument listed place. And she had an email internet protocol program, Eudora, named after her. How fascinating was that? Okay, so what is The Optimist Daughter about? First of all, before I jump into the story, this was a short story in New Yorker that was published in 1969, but then Eudora fleshed it out a bit more and made it into a novel, which was published in 1972, and then in 1973 won the Pulitzer Prize. It's amazing. So what is the story about? It's effectively about, when a parent dies and you have to go back home and sort out the affairs of when that parent dies and all, and then you basically go into a grieving and a reflection process. That is what the book is about. It's about Laurel. Laurel has been living in Chicago all this time, and her family is from Mount Salus in Mississippi. And she hadn't been back to Mount Salus, Mississippi, only twice. First time to come to her mother's name was Becky's funeral. And then this time round, which the book is all centered around, is her father. Her father is Judge McKelver. He's a well-loved, well-respected community man in the town of Mount Salus and and everyone loves him. But she gets called back because he's in hospital. He's had a detached retina, and for something as was going to be recovery for some reason. I'll tell you the reason actually. He deteriorates and he passes away. Now, when he passes away, just before he does that, something happens in the hospital. His second wife, Faye. Now, Faye is from Texas, and she's a brash, much younger woman who, at the hospital, then has a bit of a hissy fit to him and says that she had an affair and is only interested in his money. So we kind of assume that Judge McKelver gets into kind of a shock and his condition deteriorates with that. But Laurel and Faye basically are pulled together in this situation where she has to kind of learn more about her stepmother. So we learn about Faye. No one likes her in the town. Like I said, she's brash, she's Texan, she's a liar. She tells Laurel that she doesn't have any family of her own. And so they go back to the Mississippi home and they, undertake the funeral arrangements. But Faye decides to skip out of town and do a short holiday for a little while, leaving Laurel in her family home, going through the various rooms and sorting out her dad's affairs. And so this is kind of like a story of her trying to come to understand more about her mother, more about her father, more about the people who loved them and loved her father in the town. And she goes through a period of reflection, trying to understand, what life is about. And she comes to the conclusion that, life, despite what happens, it's all about having good friends and family around. And so that is what the book is about effectively. So it's just kind of like a very slow book. The audiobook was narrated by Eudora Welty herself. And usually when I listen to an audiobook, I do listen to it at the same speed it was narrated. But Eudora's voice was quite slow and it was in that very southern drawl. And I must admit, I did struggle because I thought, where is this story going? I mean, there was a very slow build-up. In fact, I didn't feel that there was a build-up at all, only towards right at the very end when Laurel was going through the reflection process. That's when I started getting interested in the story, and that's when I speeded it up to 1.25. So my mistake with this was listening to a Pulitzer Prize winning book via audio format, and I think I missed out on the nuances of reading a book physically and going through it that way. Is it enough for me to go back and reread it again? No, not this time round. However, I am glad that I read Eudora Welty. I am glad that I know now who she is, and that I will look out for her work, but that I will not be getting it as an audiobook, because this kind of writing is meant to be savoured, to be shared, to be seen, to be experienced, to be touched, and to feel, not just have it through my ear while I'm going for a walk or doing stuff around the house. So that is my review for Eudora Welty's The Optimist's Daughter. If you have read it, please let me know what you think, because there haven't been many YouTube reviews of this online. If you've read any of Eudora Welty's other books, please let me know what you think. Which is your best book? What do you think I should start to read and explore? So thanks again for watching and listening. Bye for now.